We're here to protect you and the ones that you love. It's a good feeling to know that our efforts aren't going unnoticed.
It actually brought tears to my eyes to know that we have this support.
You're welcome. I must just say, you're welcome. It's stressful, but we're not going anywhere.
Welcome to another edition of Bucknell Women's Cross Country Through the Decades. Tonight, we have a really special group. We have the pioneers of the women's cross country program at Bucknell, the decade of the 1970s, and we're really excited about the guests we have joining head coach Kevin Donner and one of our current student athletes, Kaitlin Ryan. Kaitlin is a senior from Red Bank, New Jersey, and we're excited to have her on the call. My name's Todd Newcomb, and I want to thank our sponsor, Geisinger, for all that they have done throughout the pandemic and for all that they do day in and day out with our student athletes here at Bucknell University. So thank you to Geisinger. As I mentioned, we've got a great group joining Coach, and I'm going to take a second and introduce our guest, and then I'll turn it over to Coach Donner and to Kaitlin. For purposes of those of you watching at home, we're going to introduce our guest with their maiden name, so you will recognize them from their time at Bucknell. So our first guest from the class of 1979 is Mary Rohrig. She was a two-year letter winner and the team captain in 1977. She finished as the team's top runner and 80th overall at the Eastern Championships in 1977 as well. Our next guest, also from the class of 1979, is Susan Cluzel. She was a two-year letter winner and the team captain in both 1977 and 1978. She finished as the team's top runner and 96th overall at the Eastern Championships in 1978. Our next guest from the class of 1980 is Ann Bischoff. She was a three-year letter winner and the team captain also in 1978 and 1979. She finished fifth at the AIAW Division II Eastern Cross Country Championship in 1979 to become the first Bucknell woman to qualify for that championship, where she went on to finish 33rd. She won the Margaret L. Bryan Award at the Department Senior Awards Dinner. And our final guest, a three-year letter winner from class of 1980, is Beth Thomas. So, Coach, we've got a great group. I'm going to turn it over to you, and we can find out how it all began.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm very excited for this. These have been a lot of fun, and I really thank you, ladies. And it's great to see your faces. And yeah, let's have a good time here. So I want to hear some good stories. But anyway, before we begin sharing the great memories of your time at Bucknell, let's update us on your personal life, what you do, your career, your family, where you live, things like that. We're going to start with Beth.
Oh, hi. Well, I live in Massachusetts right now. We moved here in 1984. I left Bucknell and had a couple different jobs in manufacturing engineering. And then I had three children. And we moved up here, and I presently have an online gift store.
All right. Let's go with Mary.
Hi, I graduated in 1979 and went immediately into public accounting. I'm a CPA, currently working in industry, living in Houston, Texas, where I met my husband, who's in the oil industry. We've traveled around, but Houston is home. And I have two adult sons.
All right. Let's go with Susan.
Hello. Let's see. I live in New York City now. I'm a senior consultant at Refinitiv, which is a company that provides information and technology solutions to financial institutions. After leaving, I studied math at Bucknell, but then took a course in corporate finance and decided I wanted to work on Wall Street. So the first half of my career was in municipal bond trading and underwriting. I earned a professional designation chartered financial analyst. Then I took a break, did a little bit of charity work, and went back to finance, but on the vendor side. And so now my clients are financial institutions and investment banks. I've mainly lived in this area, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, with the exception of a few years when I was in Florida for a job. I don't have children, but I do have two nieces and a nephew whom I love watching grow up and spending time with.
All right, awesome. And Ann. Tell us what you're up to.
I live about 15 minutes from Beth. We were college roommates and graduated in '80, and I traveled around with GE for a few years and then decided I'd move up to Boston. And it was great to move there because Beth was so close by. I actually lived in her house for a while, did some babysitting and worked out of her house. And I've lived in the Boston area ever since. I work in high tech. When we were in college, there was no computer science major, so I majored in math, and we took all the computer science courses we could. And I worked in high tech in a variety of roles, mostly running projects, not doing coding. I have 2 kids who are twins, who are 22. One graduated from Dickinson, not too far from Bucknell, and the other one is finishing up his degree at UMass in computer science, so he's following in our footsteps. And I don't run anymore. I just swim. And
All right.
ride
That's
my
all right. All right. Well, all of you ran at a time when women's cross country had just become a varsity sport at Bucknell. Tell us what it was like being on the forefront of what has now become one of Bucknell's most respected athletic programs. So you guys kind of got it started going, back then, and tell us how it was. I know, you probably went through a few different coaches and all that, and we'll go right back to Ann here.
Well, we didn't really have a coach the first year I was there. So that was 76. We just had to tag along with Coach Gould, and he wasn't all that excited about us. But I remember the first time I met him, he looked down at my feet and he said, "Finally, a woman with large feet, thank God." But when we went on cross-country trips, when we traveled to other schools, the boys wore suits, we wore skirts, because that's what girls did in the 70s. But we learned a lot, and despite him being a little reluctant at first, he was really a great coach. And then I don't remember, Beth, if it was like, I think it wasn't until our sophomore or junior year we actually got a real coach. But
Right,
cross country was great.
Yeah.
Right.
At Bucknell,
We
we
had
run the hills, and we were better at hills than any other school.
So there was a separate women's coach.
by our sophomore year, so 77
Yeah,
or 78.
77, yeah.
It was my
We got
junior
Diane
year.
Perry,
Yeah.
Mhm.
who came
Okay.
in.
And she was a former swimmer from UMass, so didn't really have
Yeah, she really
I was gonna say,
any running
She didn't
background.
really know cross country, for sure.
No, that was for sure.
Sometimes I'm not sure I know cross country.
Right.
So, all right.
She was encouraging though, and
Oh, yeah, she was
I
really
remember
enthusiastic.
she used to say wicked this and wicked that.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right. That's cool. All right.
little did
tell us
Ann
what
and I know at the time that we'd end up in Massachusetts hearing lots of wicked this and wicked that.
Yeah.
So Susan, what was it like getting started?
Yeah, so you mentioned that we mentioned that there was really not such a thing as recruiting, but I was recruited once I arrived on campus. I had no thoughts of being a college athlete when I came to Bucknell, but I had on my high school transcript that I was on the boys track team in high school, and so I was approached as soon as I got on campus. Now that experience, I practiced on my own, and I did no racing. It wasn't really, I wasn't really a runner. I think, there were so few sports, and I mean, I think, Title IX and things ramped up very quickly, but, I was at an age where, I mean, my family skied and, I, became an athlete, but there weren't a lot of sports for women, or girls even in high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, they came and asked me if I wanted to join the team. I was very skeptical. I was like, what? But I did feel confident that I could run 3 miles around the golf course at Bucknell, and that's all they wanted, and the rest is history.
And Mary, your experience.
Oh, I echo what's been said so far. When Sue and I ran as freshmen, we had a hard time putting together a team of 5. We had to recruit some of the girls who were going to run track. Remember Mimi?
Yes.
She was,
Right.
yeah, she
And
didn't want to
Amy.
run 3 miles, but
Yeah.
we needed 5 to field the team. And I echo what Beth and Sue said about traveling with the guys. We were in the early years, it was the guys team and the girls team, and we traveled everywhere together. And it was there was a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the opportunity to get to know the guys. They took care of us. They were good kids.
Yeah.
It was a magical experience. We really were mavericks back then, and we didn't realize how lucky we were to be the first Title IX team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like one year, I think it was either our junior or senior year, and girls started showing up who'd been recruited, and we were like, what?
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And it was really a great, I mean, it was really rewarding to see that the program had gotten to that point. I think that was, you know, it was just
And-
like, wow, who would recruit somebody to run? That's bizarre. But
We got free shoes.
yes,
Remember
we did
that?
get free shoes and those horrible shirts, but yes, we did get free shoes.
I actually have a funny shoe story too, and I don't know, how are you going to progress with this, but one of the questions I saw, you were asking about memories, and some of our memories, I think probably to have classes of runners that follow us would, be really interesting, just to hear about, right? Because it was so different. And I mean, I don't know if you want to hear this now, but I have such a funny shoe story. One of my memories.
Yeah.
One of my memories was a comment that I heard. We were at an invitational meet somewhere in Pennsylvania, maybe at Lock Haven or something like that. And I overheard a runner from another team say something along the lines of, those girls or gals really love those Nikes. And I mean, we came to Bucknell, and the university wasn't providing us any equipment, no training clothes, nothing like that. I remember wearing a pair of Adidas cross countries my freshman year, and when they started falling apart, I taped them up. But this year, it must have been sophomore year, we were actually given Nike shoes. So on the men's team, Tom McLean, who was phenomenal, internationally ranked half miler, must have had some sort of a relationship or sponsorship with Nike. And so we all got these Nike shoes. They were the most uncomfortable things I've ever put on my foot or feet. But I remember hearing, so clearly at that time, Nike was not a household name.
Yeah. All right. Now, when you guys started, was it non-varsity? Originally became varsity?
Well,
I
no,
think we were varsity.
I think we were varsity, such as it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
it was what it was. Yeah.
Was there
Yeah.
a battle to get like uniforms and equipment and stuff like that?
Oh, we were so naive. We didn't know what to ask for. It was all provided.
Yeah, we were
Okay.
just so happy to be allowed to run. Like,
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they converted the visitors' locker room in Davis Gym into a girls' locker room. We
Yeah.
didn't know any different. There were no, in fact, there were no stall showers because it was a guy's shower room.
Yeah.
It was just no individuals. Everybody showered together in the nude, which was an unusual experience for girls back then. But
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
did it.
yeah.
And then they built a field house, and then we
Oh.
had shower stalls.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
field
yeah.
house
And-
was like
and
going to
then
the
we got-
next. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got our laundry done then too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the best part. You didn't have to
Yeah.
wash your own gym clothes.
Yeah.
Right.
It's,
So what year was the field house built?
I think, was it there when you were there, Marion? So maybe 79? it
Yes,
opened?
it was.
70.
It was there, but afterward, do you remember? That was another one of the memories that I was thinking about. Do you remember when you had to run on those banked
Boards.
boards
Oh, the
in
boards.
wintertime?
Oh, I
There was
love the
no
boards.
indoor track.
I've
No.
seen
We had
pictures.
this eighth of a mile, banked gray boards that they put out in front of Davis Gym.
Outside,
And this
yep,
is
I've
when
seen
winters
pictures.
were a lot colder and snowier than they are now. We only had outdoor training all winter. We were tough.
Right, and we had to, and if it snowed, the first thing you had to do was shovel the
Shovel
track.
snow.
And the girls and the boys and the girls shoveled together. And I'll never forget one day, the shot put guy was practicing and he threw his shot put and it went right through the wooden track. But luckily it was an outside lane. We just kept shoveling off and avoiding the hole. So it was a riot.
Yeah.
Hear that,
Speaking of
Kaitlin?
snow.
Life's not all that bad, is it, Kaitlin?
No shoveling the track anymore. We have the indoors, very nice. Feel very taken care of. We have shower stalls. It's great.
How did Coach Goulden feel about a hole in the outdoor track?
He was probably he was pissed because he wasn't so much of a field guy, he was more of the runner guy, but I don't know. I'm sure
He's
somebody.
mad that the field guys broke the track.
Yeah.
But I also remember running in the winter with only your eyes showing and having icicles on your eyelashes because it was -10 degrees or whatever, and we still had to go out and run outside.
We still do that, right, Kaitlin?
Yeah, we still brave the cold. I brought my mittens back with me. It's so cold so early.
Yeah, there were certain routes that it was really narrow, or there were no lights any place. You just ran along the road and hoped that you didn't slip on the ice and kill yourself.
Beth, that's interesting. You're so right. There were no accommodations for us on the roads.
No.
And yet at that time, I wasn't concerned about being hit, which was, once again, really naive. But
yeah, those were actually two of my favorite stories. But one is that because we ran on all the roads, anybody who wasn't a runner who wanted to know where anything in Lewisburg was just had to come to us because we had been on like every single street in the town. So we could say, oh, you turn right here and you turn left there and you go to this street because that was our workout area.
We would see Amish carts on some of our long runs.
Yeah, and the long ones, yeah.
What kind of mileage were you guys?
Cool.
What kind of mileage were you running?
50 or 60.
60 a week, something like that.
That was ultimately our first year. We were probably averaging 30.
Yeah, it changed.
Okay, you built up.
Yeah, we built up. Yeah. Yeah, but we didn't. The guys had the prison loop, and doing that was a big deal. I can't remember how. But the first time we did the prison loop, I was like, oh no.
Was that 10 maybe?
Maybe that was the first 10.
10.
Yeah.
Okay, because it was
like 6 or 8. But some of my best memories, even though it wasn't, great conditions, were, running up and over the hills in the countryside outside of Lewisburg in the snow. It was just, we had every day at the end of class, no matter what was going on, you could just get out and run. And it was so calming and really a great environment. The only thing was we'd always show up for dinner late, and the cafeteria ladies here, and we were like the skinniest girls on campus because we were runners, and the cafeteria ladies would, slap an extra dollop of mashed potatoes to fatten us up.
But we were getting there at 5 of 7 when the cafeteria closed at 7.
Yeah, they're open later now. So.
Yeah, but that led to one of my other favorite stories about the guys taking care of us. And it was probably more later than not the first year or second year, but that we used to go on Sunday runs that were co-ed, and it was just because it was do your own thing. And the guys would take us on these 10 to 15 mile, painful because their relaxed pace was a little bit faster than my relaxed pace, but out through the hills, and it was just gorgeous. It's such a pretty spot, Lewisburg is.
Yeah, I agree. I think, Bucknell was a great place to run because you had those open roads. I live in a city now, and, there are a couple of parks, but, it's nothing like that. But it's the same today for your runners too, I'm sure. It's
a little built up more, but once you get outside of radius, it's pretty nice. There's a little bit more traffic. I will attest to that.
Well, I remember the other thing was that we were never home for Parents' Weekend. We were always away.
At a
So
meet.
we never had to, because the football game was home, so they didn't want to do a track meet because, tracks just cross country wasn't as exciting as football. Until I think it was our senior year. And so our senior year, there was a home meet, and Beth and I were like, we didn't know what to do. We couldn't find hotel rooms for our families because it was, every other year they would just come and either meet us at a track meet or come an alternate weekend. So the fact that we had to get dinner reservations and my dad had to stay like 15 miles away because all the hotels were booked, it was crazy.
Hey, Sue, I think our freshman year parents' weekend was, we were home.
I actually thought it was sophomore year because I remember there was a Bucknell Invitational.
No, because the
and
sophomore
I thought
year.
that was I thought that was parents' weekend because I even think I have a picture of some of us and our parents.
Huh. So I think your sophomore year, our freshman was Van Cortlandt Park because my parents came to New York.
I remember the trip to Van Cortlandt Park too. Weren't we running in about 2 feet of water?
Yes.
Yeah, it was really wet.
Showers?
Yes, and we couldn't, we lost the tram. We lost the track. Yeah, because the weather was so bad. Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah,
Why don't you ask a question, Kaitlin?
Alrighty. Thank you, ladies. It's a pleasure to meet you all. This is so fun. It's like funny to hear how like our experiences are like a little like similar to, especially running like on all those routes. It's very it's like nice to hear. Yeah, so just generally speaking, what advice would you give to me and all the other runners on the team about your experience with Bucknell Cross Country? And we can start with Mary.
Enjoy your 4 years at Bucknell. I remember, I have an interview story. My grades, I didn't graduate with honors. And I remember interviewing with CPA firms. And they asked me what the hardest thing I've ever done in my life was. And I said, have you ever run a cross-country race? Perseverance when you run through that pain. They didn't appreciate it, but enjoy your years. It's a magical time that's not replicated in any other era of your life.
Advice. And then we can go to Beth.
I was just going to say, I did think about this a little. I don't know what advice I could give, but I would just, rely on your team members and your friends. I think it's really important for running the races to rely on each other, and as well as just getting through school. I think that the camaraderie and it was really important.
And next we can go to Susan.
I am going to agree with my classmates. Enjoy it, really, and be happy what you have. I think that having the education that you do, just having a Bucknell education, you obviously have all the resources that you need to do whatever it is that you want to do in life, but enjoy your time now, and also know that these experiences, so whether it's competing and running and being part of a team, all of these are going to be beneficial as you go on in life. So just feel comfortable and confident about that, and confident in yourself.
And next we have Anne.
Yeah, I would say, just the competitive spirit and the bond we had with each other and the men's team at the time. It was like we didn't even need to join a sorority because it was like we had one. I think the track team was my social group, and it was co-ed, and it was great, and it was really fun. And we were really competitive because Bucknell was very competitive in track, and we were part of that legacy. So Coach Goulden was like, you got to show don't you slow down. I'm going to be standing at the top of the hill with his arms crossed. And the other thing was that after college, it was really great. In our 20s, what we do is if we wanted to get together, we'd pick a road race over the summer and we'd all meet up. And that was our like mini reunion. So until we got too old to run, that was a really great way to reconnect with your friends and just stay connected, because it was really a great time.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So we're going to ask each, what was your most memorable experience as a member of the team? Start with Beth.
Okay, well, I kept trying to find a new one, but my most memorable experience was getting frostbite at Cornell. Running, because of course we weren't very familiar with the course, so we had to jog the course beforehand, and then we had to stand around for an hour till they were ready to run, and then we had to run it, and it was in 3 inches of snow.
Wow.
Going down through the gorge and back up, and I just remember sitting afterward and having to stick my feet in pots of water somebody got to thaw them out. But I finished. I don't remember how I did.
Yeah. I don't know. That's your most memorable. I don't know if it was a memory.
Right. No, I said I kept trying to think of a better one, but a good one. But that one just so I figured I might as well.
Yeah. Well, that's memorable. Holy. All right, Mary, most memorable moment?
Oh, this is along the same lines as Beth. So freshman year, Sue can probably remember our first cross-country race. And I ran a half mile in track, so 3 miles was a lot. I finished the race and I threw up because we had this wonderful breakfast beforehand. And I forget the senior runner who was like drop dead gorgeous. And he came up to me and he was consoling me. And I was, mortified that I threw up after this race. But once again, like Ann said, we were one team and we encouraged one another.
That's awesome. Susan, most memorable experience?
So I've talked about a couple of memories already. I think I remember, Beth, was that the Cornell meet, was that your freshman year? Because I remember running at a Cornell Invitational freshman year, my sophomore year, and I actually ran a pretty good race. I think I placed in that race, and I remember the Cornell team coach too kind of sort of followed me throughout the season, like he recognized me from that. But I do remember, because I remember talking to the guys, our guys team, about how they handled the cold weather, and some of them actually wore pantyhose on some of those super cold days. So I don't know if that's the one that you might have been referring to.
I would bet it is.
Maybe. But I have another experience though. I remember a meet that we had at Penn State, and it's just a silly, funny little thing, but it was another invitational, and I think somebody had written up a name tag for me or something like that, and it said Cluzel. So, sort of amusing. And then at some point, I also remember at that meet pulling down my sweatpants, but like everything came off. And, not only did I just pull everything off, but on my legs, I had all this, sweatpants gunk. I mean, it was just the funniest looking scene, but just stuff like that. Lots of silly stuff. We have so many memories because we had such a different experience, starting out since the program wasn't so developed.
And Anne, your most memorable experience?
My most memorable experience is, I was really competitive and everybody really supported me. I have my national track and field from when I went to the indoor meet, and I had to qualify to do it. And I think we ran at Harvard, and they had this really new track that was supposed to be really bouncy. So the coach was like, okay, you can do it. I was so close. So I qualified. And then I went alone with coach to this meet in Missouri, which was like going to the Olympics, and I did terrible. I was so freaked out. I ran 2 miles indoors, and it was frightening because I had none of my, it was just me and Coach Diane. There was no team, and it was really scary. So I kind of realized at that point how important it was to have the team with you all the time, because then you felt so much more confident that you could do anything. But without the team, it was really hard. But my best memories are those long runs we took. They were so nice. We'd go out, we go on a long run, and we talk a blue streak because we could talk when we ran. And,
Yeah.
But, so we just have these great talks. And, later in life when I'm stressed out, I actually close my eyes and I think about running over a hill with Beth in the snow and it immediately calms me down. I mean, it was just a really nice time.
That's great. And who was a teammate that you most admired throughout your career and why?
I think it was Sue. Sue was like, she was a workhorse. She ran so hard. She was this little, we were all so tiny. She was this short, little, skinny thing. And she could run so hard. I mean, I think she practically threw up almost after every meet. She ran so hard. But she was just an inspiration of somebody who just really worked hard and really enjoyed it. And it was also great to have, upperclassmen to carry us along. And then, and then it got really weird when they graduated and the younger kids started looking at Beth and I. We were like, oh, no, we're not.
The recruited kids.
Yeah.
Mary, teammate you most admired?
I think I just remember, and I'm glad Beth is on the call because I didn't see her on the initial distribution. I just remember the four of us. There were other people who came and went within the program, but it was just the four of us.
Yeah, we were
And,
the core.
Huh?
Like the core.
Yeah.
Yeah, the core. Susan?
Well, so Anne, that was so sweet of you. I do remember those early days, and I never thought of myself, as a sprinter. Like I really did very well at distances, but anything, even a mile, but anything under that, we'd be running these races. And I do remember times where, if we were running like, quarter mile repeats or something like that, and I was like, Anne, come on, you're faster sprinter than I am. Come on. But Anne, I also admire you. I know you had some personal adversity during your college years, and I just was, even though I was gone, I just saw from afar. But I just can't believe your strength. Just through that, I don't think I could have been so strong. So anyway, I thought of you.
The team pulled me through, so that's what made it happen.
And Beth?
I was voting for Anne as well. She just always worked hard and she was always ahead of me. I was always chasing.
So you guys remember Thomas McLean?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
The superstar.
Unbelievable career he had.
Yeah.
He was such a nice guy. He was really just another guy. He wasn't, everybody knew him. Obviously, we were like, oh, okay.
Okay.
So here's the trivia question. What was his girlfriend's name?
Ooh.
She ran just our Susan and my freshman year.
Oh,
Then I'm out because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
then I'm out too.
Well, so Mary, are you, because there's another, I was just trying to remember who someone's boyfriend was who wasn't Tom. It was another guy on the team. Do you guys remember Betsy Granspan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't she the one who was away and then she came back?
Yeah, and but she had a boyfriend on our team.
Well, Betsy
Or the
was Tom.
men's team.
Yeah, was it Tom? Yeah.
That
No, I think it was someone else.
No, I think
I'll
it
let
was
you
Betsy.
know because I'm thinking it was someone else. But I
thought it
thought
was
that's
Betsy.
who you might mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try to figure that out. That's crazy. But yeah. So I'm just gonna echo what some of you guys said before too, just about like the guys' team. I guess we spent so much time with them, and we discussed already. By the time we got to dinner, it was hard to social. We spent so much time running, and we weren't able to go to dinner with our classmates and that kind of thing. We really spent a lot of time together. But even outside of running or whatever, we were hanging out with the guys all the time. I mean, it was just. I guess as Anne said, it's like that was just our social life. The camaraderie was great.
All right. Hey, Kaitlin, who was the teammate you most admired?
I'm trying to think. I feel like it changes a lot, but Colleen Buckley obviously stands out. Like I remember coming in as a freshman and Colleen was a junior, and we are from a similar area. We're not too far away, and she reached out to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so crazy. We got dinner, and I was just like, you're like the craziest, like best runner I've ever like heard of before. And then to be on the team with her for 2 years was like such an honor, and to have her as a friend has been unbelievable. So the Colleen definitely stands out.
All right, great. So you have a question here, Kaitlin?
I do, yes, this will be me. So any advice that you ladies can offer in terms of networking and then finding the right job after college? And we can start with you.
So I'm looking for a job right now, and the reason I'm getting the interviews is because of my network. So network, use your alumni, talk to people who are in a similar major, just it's so important to leverage that initially, and then it's important for the rest of your career. And my son, who's 22, he's like, gosh, Mom, you know a lot of people. How do you keep in touch? And I'm like, thank God for Facebook, because some people I haven't seen in 10 years, but I kept up with them on Facebook so I can network with them. And the other thing is, be open, because, it sounds, I feel like a dinosaur, but when we were in college, computer science was really, really new. And tech as a field was really young. So I didn't really study for my career. I just studied because I really enjoyed math. And then, I was lucky at the time to get working in high tech, but, I thought I wanted to be a programmer, and I ended up doing product management and marketing. At one point I was buying advertising, and, now I run projects. So, just be really open to the opportunities, because there's so many things you can do with your degree. Like Sue said, you have an amazing degree coming out of Bucknell, but you may end up doing something totally different. So just kind of follow what seems like fun, and try different things, because you never know where you end up.
That was great advice. Susan, we can go to you next.
So I agree. I think networking is very valuable. And as Ann said, as you move through your career, so many jobs and opportunities are going to come from your contacts, and companies like to hire people that when they have a reference, right? Because they're not taking as big a chance. But when you're starting out, I think, networking, meaning, talk about what it is that you want to do with anybody and everybody, whether it's your friends, your family, just anybody that you come in contact. And the other thing is that people like to give help and advice. So, don't be afraid to reach out to a stranger either. You don't have to say, oh, I'm looking for a job, but just ask them, for some sort of an informational meeting to learn more about a field that you're interested in and to get your insights. I would not hesitate to do that, because I really do think by and large people like to help. But I'm also going to echo kind of something that Ann said. Don't worry about finding the right job. I mean, maybe you'll find a company where you'll have you'll love it, and you'll have tons of opportunities for advancements. But whatever you do, it's going to be a building block, and, it's going to be an experience. Even if it was a bad experience, it's going to be an experience that's going to help you, grow and build your career. So just don't put a lot of pressure on yourself about, having to make the right decision.
Awesome. That's like very nice to hear. Beth, we can go to you next.
Well, they're kind of saying it. My notes that I wrote down were to be open-minded and just be inquisitive and find out what there is out there. Because when I got out of Bucknell, I really didn't have any idea what career, what you're going to do. What you majored in, and some of the basics, but there's just a lot of options that you can do, and just be open-minded and listen and ask questions.
Perfect. Thank you. And Mary.
Perseverance. First of all, I echo everything that was initially said, but perseverance. You may end up in some place that you don't like, but remember, you can gut anything out for 2 years to get that experience under your belt, because you've run cross-country races. And then don't lose your integrity, because over my 40-year working history, people know me as a girl who doesn't play with numbers, and that is so important. Keep your integrity. keep an open mind, and keep smiling, and that'll carry you a long, long way.
Thank you.
It sounds like the life skills you learned from distance running really helped you in your career.
Mhm, mhm,
Sure
That's
do.
awesome.
Yeah.
mhm.
Remember that, Kaitlin?
All right, I'm taking notes.
All right. All right, ladies, last question here. This is my 20th year as a head track and field cross country coach for both the men and women. I've had some success. I've had some failures. But what advice would you give me as the head of the program from the outside looking in? We'll start with Ann.
I think just, remember that the role you play is really important to the team. That you're our rock. The coaches really kind of kept us centered and stable while we were going through so many different things through all those years. You go through so many changes and relationships and things happen, but you always have your running family and have that leadership. And some of the skills that we saw the coaches exhibit are just amazing leadership skills that we watched and learned from and can apply. So, people are watching you and they learn so much from you. Don't forget that you're really an important teacher at the school.
All right. Thank you. Susan?
I don't know what kind of advice I can give you, but you've obviously done something right. You've been at Bucknell a long time, right? And
Haven't got rid of me yet.
Right, exactly. I guess I think a couple of things that are important with, coaching is, to be encouraging, to, listen and understand that, individuals sometimes have different needs and to be able to, to recognize that. And then, we talked about this before, but, teamwork, make sure that the team is, cohesive. I think that, obviously cross country is a team sport and your performance is based on, the team's, performance. But I think sometimes, individuals have goals, but also, if they really are pushing for the team, sometimes, it's just, the results are even all that much better. And teamwork is a skill that is going to be so beneficial for people just throughout life, in any job that you do and anything else that you decide to embark on.
All right. Very good. And Mary?
I echo what Sue said about teamwork. I don't remember any dissension within the women's cross country team. There was a glue that held us together, which is unique because we weren't recruited. We didn't take personality tests, assemble us. But it was a remarkable group of people, and do all you can to ensure there isn't dissension within the team.
All right. And Beth?
Well, everybody said teamwork. That was my number one, to keep encouraging that, but also just to value the individuals, because you've got a lot of different ones and they all play a different role. Certainly coaches can try to focus on the fastest people, but sometimes the slower ones are the ones, or ones that help the team just as much. And so just to focus on everybody.
All right.
As much as you can.
Kaitlin, any advice on me?
Just keep doing what you're doing. I think we're in a good spot, taking every day one at a time, and yeah, we're gonna make it through. So
All
we
right.
put the uniform back on. That's the goal.
Yeah, just an FYI, the Patriot League did cancel fall cross country and all the fall sports. However, we are practicing, and Bucknell has done a real good job of creating a bubble and these kids, and a lot of COVID protocol. Bucknell felt it was important to do in-house learning, and we gave all the students their choice to go remote or to go in-house, and about 90% chose in-house.
Wow.
60% of the professors chose in-house, but we are testing our kids every 10 days. We're testing the employees every 14 days for COVID. We literally bought out an entire hotel for the semester for isolation. And the kids who are isolated, they can learn remote still. They can still attend their classes, and they get their meals delivered to them by volunteers. So since August 12th, we've only had a total of 19 COVID cases. 3 of them were employees, 16 of them were students. All 19 have run their course and tested negative recently. And right now there are 0 active cases on Bucknell.
Wow.
Congratulations.
That's
amazing.
wonderful.
And now they are isolating kids who come up with symptoms. For example, if Kaitlin catches a cold, she's supposed to report it, and they might put her in the hotel for 3 days until she gets a negative test. So every now and then we have kids that can't make practice because they're isolated, but it's only for a day or two until they test negative. But we're doing a wonderful job, and the fact that we're together is great. And I've been telling my athletes that whenever our alumni get together at reunions, they don't talk about the wins and losses. They talk about the relationships. They talk about the experiences. They talk about the funny stories. And just listening to all these talks by all our alumni, including your group, same thing. Nobody talked about the wins and losses. You guys talked about the funny stories. And that's what our kids are getting right now, even though we're not able to compete. And they seem pretty happy. Yeah. Kaitlin, seems like people are pretty happy for the most part.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think too, like spending so much time alone and like training alone at home was obviously like difficult. And then now being back together, it's made it all like so worthwhile. So really thankful that we're able to be back and work as a team again.
Yeah. Kaitlin, all of them have friends that run at other colleges that are literally at home, remote, and they're not able to meet as a team. And there's been some colleges that have literally shut down their athletic department in the last few weeks, so we're lucky. We're very fortunate at Bucknell at this point.
I was just going to say, Kaitlin, do you have any friends at home, like Coach mentioned, that are at other schools that did not get the opportunity to go back? I know if we talk about the Patriot League itself, only less than half of the Patriot League is back on campus. A lot of the schools went remote. What about the experience that you've had and your friends?
Yeah, so definitely we were always checking our phones, especially when we were at home. I have friends at like Loyola, they weren't able to come back, and then Lehigh as well. They have off-campus housing, so they were able to return to a different area other than home, but like not to be in-person classes. But the experience so far on campus has been so much better than I ever could have expected. It's tough to like know what we had for those first 3 years and to have a different experience for sure. But just given the circumstances, I'm really thankful for the university and the athletic department for like really like pulling it all together to get us to where we need to be. And everyone's been really accommodating, and like honestly could not be happier at Bucknell, like regardless of what the circumstances is, which I think like speaks on behalf of how great Bucknell is in general. But yeah, all good stuff.
With everything we've done, if we can't keep our kids here, nobody can. So we spent a lot of resources on COVID. So
I have a question for you. Are the meals at Bucknell as good as they were when we attended?
Tricky question right now.
Actually, Mary, if they've got Bechtel's ice cream freely available, then all is good, right?
Good. Bechtel's closed.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
So
it's now a car lot.
Yeah.
So funny story. I had a kid who went to University of Pennsylvania, and he was doing debates. And he said among the debate circuit that Bucknell was still known for good meals.
Really?
Well, the cafeteria, I've always felt the cafeteria was good, but during this COVID era, they actually pack your meal for you. They bag it for you, don't they? Is that what they do, Kaitlin?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was funny to hear you guys talk about how like the men and the women's team, you see dinner together, because that was always something that I like personally look forward to, is like like getting like done a practice and then like walking up and like sharing meals together. I think that's what like really speaks to the camaraderie that you guys spoke of as well. But yeah, the food's pretty good. I can't complain. They take care of us, which is nice. I like really like the dessert bar. The chocolate chip cookies are like
That was always good.
this is the best part.
All right.
Well, all right. So
surf and turf in the spring.
They got rid of that.
Oh, okay.
That was good.
Yes, it was.
So I just want to, before I talk to the ladies that are on the call, in terms of the alums, I want to just turn my attention to Kaitlin. And, you know, Kaitlin, thank you for doing this again, and good luck to you throughout the remainder of the semester and with your training. And we're keeping our fingers crossed that come this winter and this spring, you guys are going to be competing.
I hope so too.
We're all hoping for that.
Hope by spring.
You know, especially as a senior, we want to see that happen for you. And I know that if that does happen, that the Spike Shoe community will stand behind you guys like they always do. And that brings me right back to a perfect segue to you ladies for being on the forefront of establishing something that has really become one of our best programs at Bucknell and in the Patriot League. I mean, our women's cross country and track and field program is right at the top. And I don't want to swell Coach's head, you know, being on call here, but between Coach and Coach Goulden, you know, we've had 2 head coaches in 51 years. And that says something about the program and the consistency of the program. And a large reason that we're successful like we are is because Coach is taking what Coach Goulden did and taking it to the next level. And he doesn't do that by himself. He does it with the support of the Spike Shoe community and all you as alums of the program. And I couldn't thank you more for not only what you did while you were here at Bucknell to get everything up and going and on the right path, but what you all do and have done since for the current student athletes in our program. We could not do what we do, especially in our track and cross country program, because Coach runs a developmental program where he gives a lot of student athletes an opportunity. There are not many programs around that have as large a number as Coach Donner has, and how he works in the athletes and develops them. There's really something to be said for that. And during the winter, there's not a weekend that goes by that there's not a home track meet inside Gerhard Fieldhouse. And that may not be our star athletes, but it may be the ones that are developing while he takes the other athletes to a meet somewhere on the road. So the opportunity for competition for our student athletes in the track program has really, really blossomed. So thank you all for what you've done with that.
We have 88 girls on the team right now.
Wow. That's so great. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And they all have athletic issued gear and don't have to worry about laundry and riding bus. And it's a little different than when we were all in school, but you know, it's when one school does something, the other school does something better, and it's competitive. And Bucknell's done a really good job of keeping the program at the top. And then finally, I just want to thank the people tonight that watched from home. Thank you for doing that, and go Bison.